Greetings, everybody. Welcome once more to Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back into the world of darkness? For this is where we are heading. And I'm just going to preface this. We'll talk a little bit about more in a second here, as soon as we arrive. This is going to be a dark one. When we say darkness today, we're talking darkness. Because we're going to be talking about the Wu Keng from Mage The Ascension. And there is some trigger warnings and other warnings that we're going to have to go over here. We'll do it in a minute. I'm your host and guide here, Dracovin. I'm going to open up our gateway through the gauntlet, through the spiritual realms, to the world of darkness, so close to us. Please do give me a little bit of tip before we leave, like striking the bell. Let me know what you think of all this, and try to keep the discussions to reasonable adult discussions, if you do in the comments when we talk about this. All right, gates open, my hands outstretched. Let's get started. Okay. So, let's start with the warnings here. The Wu Keng deal with a lot of very dark adult situations. It deals with things like kidnapping, indoctrination, forced transitioning, diabolism, a lot of other very dark elements, and a lot of things that are very adult. As much as I'm going to be talking about today, I do not recommend, at very least, using these unless you have an adult table. Wu Keng deal with a lot of very difficult topics to present appropriately. So, if you are a very loose, very, even the World of Darkness, you can have very fun, very loose, very non-serious tables. I don't mean like the game will not be serious, but ones that are just for fun. You're not dealing with darker topics, and the Wu Keng deal with that, especially if you are a player, because of a lot of things that we're going to talk about. Just keep all these in mind when we talk about this. We're having an adult discussion here. We're going to be talking about some things and presenting characters that, honestly speaking, were forced in a bad situation, have perpetuated it, and that's the problem that we have. The originals, forced into a bad situation. They then perpetuated that problems. Anyway, where do we learn about the Wu Keng? There are two main books, and they're older books. We don't have anything in the M20 timeline, and I assume it's because M20 does a good job of straddling that line between casual and very, darker topics, and the Wu Keng go very heavily into a lot of those darker topics. So, again, I missed a warning here. I'm giving you a warning. There will be triggering things here in general. But the Book of Crafts deal with stuff in Dragons of the East. Let's begin talking all about it. Who are the Wu Keng? Well, they are based in Chinese mages. And calling them Chinese mages does not talk about it very deeply, because they're ancient craft. Basically, we're talking about old-time culture in China. Ancient culture. They actually are rivals in a lot of ways to one of the other major remaining, now part of the Disparate Alliance, Chinese crafts that exists, the Wu Lung. So that's an important thing. The dragon sorcerers, so to say, are kind of rivals with them and have been, and they've kind of had competition with them from ancient days. So and with the Ascetic Brotherhood, which has also been in the region there. These are the three main groups that have had them, and the Wu Keng have always been more shadowy in a lot of ways. To save themselves, basically, from, as they were these kind of ancient shamans that dealt with peasant communities, smaller royal communities, these shamanic people, they made deals with demons, infernal pacts, and they have been enslaved to those demons since then. That's the basic way of saying it. Ancient shamans from China that, in the face of annihilation and their enemies, deals with demons. They're also known as the Night Watch and Society of the Crippled Lotus. Alright. So, we have to talk about a lot of things, and we're going to get started about here. I know history's going to hit a lot about this, but I usually talk about the Paradigma part of their history pretty deeply, and that kind of hits on some things here. So, of course, their arts are very shamanic in undertone. You know, they share a lot of similarities to many other shaman-based mages. They were originally intermediaries between the worlds of men and spirits. Basically, they had this idea that they were in either familiar or romantic relationships with the spirits to bring out the tenderness in them and to basically woo them in a lot of ways into properly connecting up with the world and acting as a mediator. The spirits were their families, they were their lovers, these kind of things. This is where we come into the demon that has enslaved them, basically, the Prince of the Slain, who has turned this into a twisted form of concubinage. Yes, it is. We're already going deep into it. So each Wu Keng is chained to a Juk Ok. Juk Ok is a jade bracelet that's a powerful Wu Keng artifact, and it's the name of the demonic spirit that uses it, basically. It's made from 36 bones that connect the Wu Keng to their avatar / heaven, and describe the name of their patron wields. Both the patron and Batric are referred to as Juk Ok, and they're the source of their power. In the eyes of the celestial bureaucracy, the celestial bureaucracy, which is the hierarchy of spirits and gods in the Middle Kingdom, is a recent construct of the August personage, who are basically gods in the world of darkness, so we kind of put it that way, who reside along the other gods in the Split Realm, in which the souls will be released once the service of True God ends. Okay, cool. A lot have deluded themselves to thinking the Prince of Slain is benign. The answer to that is no. And the fact is they deny that they practice infernalism. The fact is, many of them don't know it's an infernalist pact. That's a problem too. And again, we'll get into it. We're on the surface of everything. So the Wu Keng values secrecy. They use it to survive. With ways than one. Basically, transgenderism, changing one's sex from male to female, was forced upon the craft by the Juk Ok. We're going to talk about it historically, but it becomes a big part of their culture and their patagram in a lot of ways. I'm going to talk about what they do to do it, but it is a forced thing to those that they basically force to become members. They see it as a balance between yin and yang. They specialize in forces and entropy, and the Princess of Slain has forbade them from practicing spirit and time. Man, the two spheres of magic which might be allow them to fight against and or overcome the deal which they made. Alright. Now that we have a vague understanding of some of their abilities and some of the direction that we take, we got to talk about theirs, because this will get into the interesting fact that they have. As I said at the beginning, a big part of this is forced indoctrination, kidnapping, and forced transitioning. Yeah, these are dark undertones. We have to talk about their history. So we go back to the Shang Dynasty. This is where they originated. Shang fell, and the more secular Zhou came into it. And these shamans of their practices found themselves being persecuted. And this is when they made their original deal with the Prince of Slain to far away Feng Tu to ensure their survival. Feng Tu is basically part of that. I'm just going to summarize some things here. I'm not going to dive deep into spiritualism of the region and stuff here too. It is connected to it in a lot of it. In exchange for their souls, the demons would renew their authority over China for loyal service for 3,000 years. After this period of time called the Sam Chin Ok, Wu Keng would be free from their power. It was technically up at 2,000. Technically. Just keep that in mind. The Zhou fell, and Wu Keng extend their hand to the Longhua, dragon wizards. Longhua basically worked together with a ambitious warlord in Shi Hang Di. If I butcher any names, I apologize. I'm not good at pronouncing things, not even English. They convinced him that the Wu Keng had a secret of eternal life. The Emperor took members of the captive, demanded their secrets. When one would not speak for a day, one of their numbers was boiled alive. Feet were sawed off for their escape. Lungwall's patience grew thin. They claimed they learned the secrets from the Wu Keng, who had turned into a cricket. The Emperor then demanded the execution of the useless Wu Keng. Basically, again, this is the animosity between these two groups forming, and, you know, they kind of did have immortality, but they sold their soul for it. The intervention of their runes saved them. The Prince of Slain disguised the Wu Keng as women and allowed them to escape in that form, and the contract was extended. First, they would now always present themselves as women, and second, they would mutilate their feet so they never forget the debt they owed to their masters. This mutilation was not to be reversed by any means. Yeah, you know, demons aren't good. And when you already transactionally are in a relationship with these things, they take advantage of it. Anyway, they dispersed among the peasant communities, humble, practiced their art in secret. When the ascetic brotherhood came, they carried respect for each other. They basically aided the ascetics in their war against the Wu Lung, our old enemies. And, these sisterhood of witches were demonic entities who served demonic entities. They didn't know that a lot of their actual history. The demonic entities and all those kind of things. During colonialism, they did pretty well. Basically, again, the fall of Lungwa in a lot of ways was a great thing for them. A lot of Lungwa temples were destroyed up and through World War II, and it may have had some Wu Keng infiltration to help it out. Then the war between these technocratic union, we have the rise of Mao Zedong, the Mao's Cultural Revolution, and a lot of Wu Keng in the mainland were kicked out, leaving their members around 200 in Hong Kong. We get to 1999, the Choyan, the original leaders of the craft, vanished. The Prince of Slain has proclaimed that the Choyan broke their agreement, since some members were practicing spirit, and the Sam Chin Ak, which was said to expire at 2000, basically maybe extending that. The Wu Keng suspect foul play. Basically, the deal is supposed to be up. And there have been basically things going on both sides. So what the result of this into our time now, we don't know. So we really didn't get an update of them in M20 and beyond. We don't know what's going on really with it. But yeah. So yeah. All right, let's talk about these people. So, their organization, their group, their indoctrination. The process of their craft is obtained from their master, the demon which lords over their souls and controls them. It's an abusive initiation that makes sure that few Wu Keng ever make an attempt to rebel against their masters. A young boy is stolen at childbirth from their family, raised as a girl by an mom. When they become 10, they are wedded to a demon master and given a Ju-Ak. After this, the child is a Mui, a girl that acts as an apprentice. They basically are organized with 3 Aji in a cabal. The fact is, they don't really get into relationships either way. I think that's an important way of talking about their group here, too. There is no, basically, sexuality in a lot of this, too. Though, again, they've been forced to indoctrinated and forced to present themselves as women, whether they would have or not. Again, this is it's an indoctrination. It's the easiest way to say it. The beliefs here are dark, and they are forcing it on another from a young child. Granted, a lot of their powers come from their connection with the demons. They are awakened by infernal power, but very few of them know that they don't need that infernal power now that they're awakened to use their magic, too. It's another one of those things that's a control issue. it's knowing that you don't need the Juk-Ak to do magic now that you are awakened is something that basically helps you not get over the control. The numbers are supposed to be kept down. And these are fresh souls they're getting when they initiate. Fresh souls taken. Given the demons. So yeah. Sheer fact is, situation becoming a slave lover and victim to a demon is the easiest way to say it. A monster wants them. And they're given. And they wear a little bit around their arm. Now granted, it is also important to note, the Juk-Ak isn't watching the concert every part of the day. But you have to be careful, because if anybody tries to use power without the Juk-Ak's approval, well, there have been those, plenty have been caught, and now languish in 1,000 hells to wait the pleasure of their every master. If this sounds pretty terrible, it's because it is, unfortunately. And the fact is, they don't really get into relationships with anybody, man or woman, any gender. They are very on their own in a lot of ways. So that's an important thing to kind of talk about with them here, too. They aren't diving into connections with another. And yes, there are members of them that have been alive since the beginning. They do have this eternal life because of these deals. But, yeah. I guess that's a, point to leave it. Wu Keng. Wu Keng. Sorry. I definitely do not necessarily recommend using that every table. Not at all. I hope I've impressed upon you today enough of it. I didn't go as probably deep as I could have, and if you want to learn about them more, I do definitely check out the Book of Crafts. Check out the Dragons of the East. You can learn more about them, pre-W-Talk. And I would be curious as to what's happened with them with the deal. Did they manage to overcome it? Were they betrayed by their demon overlords? I don't know. The fact is, we know that they are, yes, in Hong Kong, and do travel sometimes the world. They do infiltrate things. But again, it's these people are in a terrible situation caused by their ancestors, and they continue the cycle of abuse, selling souls to demons, who then do unspeakable things to people, mutilating themselves, other various things. I think it comes back to they believe in a balance of yin and yang. They think themselves as female. Again, do they have a choice? And dress as women, take feminist roles in society, and seldom entertain lovers of any sex. It's an interesting situation to be in, because it's the way they were raised forcefully, from the abuse they've been. But, yeah. As World of Darkness goes, this is probably one of the darker cultures to talk about. Certainly speaking. And I hope you have at least enjoyed learning about them and understanding them and their plight. They are a group that would be interesting to perhaps use properly in a game. Even interesting to use as a player. But it is that thing is, you need the right table, you need the right people to play. Keep that in mind, and I hope that, learning about these darker aspects of the World of Darkness makes you understand why it's called the World of Darkness. A lot of times, the more lighthearted stuff or silly, interesting stuff is really cool. It really is that dark undertone, always under there. Monsters are everywhere. And sometimes there are victims just as much as there are those that just come. Sometimes you play a monster, sometimes you play the villain. Alright. We'll leave that here. Again, I'm not an expert at many of these things, so I'm just going to perfectly that here at the end here too. I hope I talked about it with enough respect to a lot of stuff that's going on here. And yes, this is a darker topic. But, you know, sometimes we gotta talk. Please check out the rest of my stuff, whether there's other tabletop-related stuff or otherwise. All my tabletop stuff is either recorded live, or if not recorded live, it still does get uploaded on YouTube. That's where all my tabletop stuff is. If I'm live, it's going to be over on Twitch. I do most of my stuff recorded live on Twitch, but some of it I don't. But I also do some gaming stuff over on Twitch. You can always check me out there. And getting support either place really would help. Of course, on YouTube side, remember, that's driving the bell. And hey, let me know what you think about all this and where you think they perhaps could have gone in the W20. Have they managed to overcome their deals with demons? Have they managed to not? What do you think the direction is? Because we don't know for sure. This is one of those ones that we haven't gotten updated with. We got updates on, their rivals. Wu Lung, who joined the Disparate Alliance. But yeah. Check out all my social media below, and until the next time, I bid all of you out there adieu, and wonderful farewell.